Good evening and welcome. You're watching India Today's Digital Live. I'm Pooja Shali. Today, a big decision appears to have been taken by the government at the center. The decision about the Kashmiri Pandits. Giving you a background. On 12th of May, a Kashmiri Hindu employee, Rahul Bhatt, was shot dead in his office, inside his office where he was working in Budgam. That happened on 12th of May. Today is 1st of June. 18 days on, non-stop protests ever since have been taking place, organized by the Hindu Kashmiri community, specifically the Kashmiri Pandits who are working there. They live in Jammu, their families have been in Jammu, and now they are on PM's package working in Kashmir. They are refugees. They are refugees. That's the word to use, not migrants. And joining me now on this discussion are two important voices that not only understand that issue, have lived it, and therefore will tell us what does this decision mean. Joining me on this broadcast is my colleague at India Today, Sunil G. Bhatt. He reports and lives in Jammu. Also joining me, we are not going to reveal his identity. He is a Kashmiri Pandit employee, is currently working in Kashmir. For security reasons, I will not be revealing his identity. We do have, as you can see on your screens, an audio band, and every time he speaks, you will be able to hear what he has to say. He's being very brave when he puts forth his view, and therefore I welcome him as well. So let's begin with you. With the Kashmiri Pandit employees who are currently working there, they've been protesting for 18 days. The government today, Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha, a high-level meeting is chaired by him. A decision is taken that the Kashmiri Hindus who are working under the PM package will be shifted to secure locations within Kashmir to district headquarters. The demand of the Kashmiri Pandit protesters were they need to be transferred to safe locations. They are not feeling safe anymore at work. Are you convinced? Are you happy with this decision? Are you satisfied? Will this stop the protests that are going on in Kashmir by the Hindu Kashmiris?
Pooja, thank you for calling me in. This announcement purportedly being projected as something big has happened and something big has done by the LG administration. It's nothing. It is just semantics. It's a facade being run by the government.
Okay.
This announcement, this decision of shifting all the employees to district headquarters, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Are district headquarters immune to terrorists, to terrorist blitz? Are these KP employees going to be immune to terrorist blitz? 4,000 employees are putting up in rented accommodations across the valley. How are they going to put these 4,000 employees in a district headquarters? Take, for example, Anantnag. There are 1,000 KP employees employed in district Anantnag in different departments. How are they going to put them all in district headquarters, in DC office? What are they going to do there? All these employees, 95% employees are putting up in rented accommodations. LG Saab admits when he is talking to the protesters in Badgam, Shekhpura, that the terror ecosystem is so strong that even the shadows are to be feared. He admits, IGP Kashmir admits when he speaks to the delegation in the Governor House that it will take us 2 to 3 years to eliminate terrorists, to wipe out terrorism. My question is, how is the district headquarters going to be safe for all the employees? What are they going to do in district headquarters? Are they going to stay 24 hours in district headquarters?
Is Budgam?
Our single point demand has been, from day one, our single point demand has been transfer us to safer places outside Kashmir division.
And that's
but government is,
anywhere.
Yes, Jammu or anywhere outside Kashmir division. Until the security scenario improves in Valley, until the promises made to us are fulfilled. You know, this government, before the start of this package, rehabilitation package, they had promised us 50 things. Has this government done one thing? In respect to the accommodation, in respect to the promotion issue, service-related issues?
On 12th May, Rahul Bhatt is killed. Just about 24 hours ago, Ranjani Bala, resident of Jammu, a woman school teacher, is also shot dead. Now, what is the government sources telling you? Because you were tracking this meeting. I don't think they're going to shift them out of Kashmir, because that would then look like a victory of terrorists, and that has been a concern. What is the government telling you, Sunil, and what is your view? Because you've been speaking to the protesters also.
Well, Pooja, speaking from the point of view of the Kashmiri Pandit government employees who are serving in the valley, of course, they are feeling very scared, and the security situation right now in Kashmir Valley is not good. And we have seen that targeted killings have taken place in the recent past, and members of the minority Hindu community have been targeted, including Kashmiri Pandit government employees. So it has created a fear psychosis, and that is why we are seeing that protests are taking place at the transit accommodations of the Kashmiri Pandit government employees in the Kashmir Valley. And as our friend from Kashmir was saying, that their single point demand is that they should be transferred
Yes.
out of Kashmir Valley. So the decision that has been taken today by the LG administration, that the Kashmiri Pandit government employees and other Hindu government employees who are serving in different parts of the Kashmir Valley, who are serving in hinterland, in far-flung areas, will be transferred to district headquarters, and secured accommodations will be given to them. But as our friend from Kashmir was saying, that even district headquarters are not safe in the valley.
But which
It's
is
a fact.
correct.
And
Yes.
these days,
Yes.
terrorists are carrying out, these targeted killings at any place, at any point of time. So
Inside the office.
their fear is genuine. But as far as government is concerned, government is caught in a catch-22 situation, because if they move all the Kashmiri Pandit government employees as well as the other Hindu community government employees to outside Kashmir, that is Jammu region, it will be seen as a failure of the government, that they could not protect even handful of the Hindu community members in the Kashmir Valley. But on the other hand, the fear is genuine. They are feeling secured, and they can't be left as sitting ducks for terrorists. So, as our friend from Kashmir was saying, it will be a right idea if, for the time being, the Kashmiri Pandit government
Yes.
employees as well as Dogra Hindu government employees are transferred to Jammu region,
Yes.
so that security situation is improved. And this new challenge that has emerged, hybrid terrorism challenge, this is contained, and all those people who are carrying out these killings are neutralized, and there is some semblance of normalcy. Only then there will be confidence among these employees that they can go back to Kashmir and they can join their services there. But as far as present situation is concerned, Pooja, it's not conducive for their survival, and it's not possible for the government to provide security to each and every person there, right? It's not
Yes.
just the offices where they are
And
serving.
this is where I want to bring in my friend who's the Kashmiri Pandit employee. Is government says they
Yes.
will not be told to work in isolated and scattered areas. But because I've spoken to you earlier, you've told me people don't just live in accommodations which are provided by the government, they also live on rent. So eventually तो आपको घर वापस जाना ही है in areas that could be risky. So
95% of the employees 95% of the employees are putting up in rented accommodations. Pooja, I'll tell you one thing. This government has nothing on its plate. They have nothing to take the employees into confidence. What have they done in the past 12 years since this package was announced?
No
They couldn't
promotion,
construct 2 rooms in the past 12 years. No promotion, no seniority, no security. We are being terrorized by the administrative apparatus of this government. You see, today this interview came out of this deceased Rajni Bala's husband. 4 बार वो सीईओ के पास गए हैं, 4 बार उसकी अर्जी को उन्होंने बोला, खारिज कर दिया कि we won't transfer you. If you come back to me again, I will post you to more vulnerable area. This is a sort of pen-terrorism that is being used by the administrative apparatus of LG government. LG should take these bureaucrats to task. Why wasn't she transferred to a more secure area?
They need to be sensitized. That is no way to interact because there is
As I have
a majority
told-
in fear. Huh?
As in the beginning, I have told, this is all a facade being run by this bureaucratic apparatus
Okay,
of
then
LG government.
let me ask you this question. Because
पिछले 1 महीने से जो है, for the past 1 month, following the killing of Rahul Bhatt, for the past 1 month, DivCom is running this facade. They have asked all these DDOs, HODs to send messages, WhatsApp messages to employees. Ask them where would you want to be posted? In Tehsil headquarters, आपको हम यहाँ post करेंगे, आपको वहाँ post करेंगे. Our Tehsil headquarters safe, our district headquarters safe. I am living in a rented accommodation. In normal days, I fear for my life. How I am going to put in a rented accommodation?
here's
And
my-
as LG Saab himself admitted,
But it's a job.
LG Saab is himself admitting. It's on record.
Let me be a devil's advocate here.
Then why force us? Why force us against our own will?
People have signed up for this job, तो नौकरी तो आपको करनी है कैसे भी circumstances, or you've chosen to do that नौकरी.
But not on our dead bodies. नौकरी हमने करनी है, but अपनी जान देकर नहीं करनी है. I must tell this to LG Saab. He says every time he says that I am saying this with conviction. When Sunil ji interviews him, he says मैं चुनौती से कहता हूं, हमने इनके लिए मकान बना दिए, हमने इनके लिए यूं कर दिया. मगर क्या किया LG साहब? Come face us. आप बताइए, आपने एक चीज अगर आपने की है, I will resign, अभी मैं रिजाइन कर दूंगा. आपने क्या किया इन एम्प्लॉइज के लिए? आप उनके फेयर्स को अले नहीं कर रहे, एड्रेस नहीं कर रहे, और अपने ब्यूरोक्रेटिक अपरेटस को लगाते हैं और उनको ऑप्रेस करते हैं. आप डिवकाम साहब से पूछिए, डिविजनल कमिश्नर कश्मीर, जब उनके पास 3 महीने पहले एम्प्लॉय जाते थे डिवकाम कश्मीर के पास कि सर मेरी वाइफ जो है उस डिस्ट्रिक्ट में है, मुझे इस डिस्ट्रिक्ट में लाइए. 2 महीने पहले की बात है. 3 उनको डिवकाम साहब कहते थे गेट आउट, आप नौकरी कीजिए अपनी, नहीं तो नौकरी छोड़ दीजिए. इज दिस द वे? व्हाट वर दीज एम्प्लॉयज आस्किंग? 3 महीने पहले की बात है. एलजी साहब को अपने इस अपरेटस को देखना चाहिए.
Of a community that is being regularly targeted from the 90s to now, more than 30 years later, are being targeted by.
We have a history.
Faith. So there is a history. They are of course coming with examples.
There's a history.
And of course, when your Sunil, when your colleague, when your neighbor gets killed like that for no reason, just because of your faith, it's bound to escalate that fear. And you know what? It's very heartbreaking. Why I say this is because you don't do promotions, you don't pick a proper list, you don't give them that value, and then you also expect them to stay on. So do you think this has been consistent
to face bullets
of the government? Had that been done, at least that could have then been taken into consideration.
There is no point of service related issues now. Now when we are being killed right in our offices, because there is matter of life and death now. मुझे promotion को क्या करना है अब? मुझे इनके accommodation को क्या करना है? मैं अपनी accommodation LG साहब को दे रहा हूँ. Now it is a point of life and death.
Sunil, how do you see
our brother Rahul Bhatt was killed right in the office of executive magistrate?
Hope on the Modi government thinking, you know, it can take brave decisions, it can take strong decisions.
Modi government has failed us.
Sunil, it's very heartbreaking to hear that, because that was the change that was promised. But if these people who are going to serve, work, if they are so heartbroken, so disillusioned, that reflects poorly on the system, on the establishment of this country.
Absolutely, Pooja. I mean, government needs to reach out to the Kashmiri Pandits in general, and these government employees in particular. And the lead has to be taken from no other than the Home Minister of the country.
Yes.
He must, open some sort of dialogue with the Kashmiri Pandit community that they are facing very difficult situation at this point of time, particularly those who are in the valley, whether they are government employees or they are those who did not leave the valley in 1990, or even our Dogra Hindu community members who are living in the Kashmir valley. So the government has to reach out to them, government has to talk to them, listen to their grievances, and the government needs to deal this issue with all sensitivity, because people have been killed.
Yes,
people have families have lost their near and dear ones, and it's not any ordinary situation. So in order
to add here, let's take final few questions. Sunil, what do you think the government needs to do? A list that Kashmiri Pandits you've been speaking to, you know them, we all meet them. What do you think are some immediate demands, whether with regard to the protesters, to the Kashmiri Pandit employees, but in general, about including Jammu Hindus, who are also now at risk, clearly have always been. They may not even be a part of the PM package. So, what are the lists that need to be considered for the Hindu minority community, for Kashmiris in general, and specifically with regard to the protesters?
Well, Pooja, I will tell you one thing, no matter how much government tries to portray the rosy picture of Kashmir, the fact of the matter is that the security situation has deteriorated in the recent past, and people are feeling insecure, whether they are Kashmiri Pandits, whether they are Dogra Hindus, or even Kashmiri Muslims who are part of the mainstream. They have also been targeted. So the government has to look into this issue with all seriousness. They have to deal with this situation with keeping in mind the sensitivities. So a solution has to be, devised, because today LG administration has come up with a solution that these government employees who are posted in hinterland should be posted at district headquarters. But the question again arises that are district headquarters safe? The fact is that the terrorists are carrying out killings at any point of time at any place in the Kashmir Valley. And this is new form of terrorism, hybrid terrorism.
Yes.
These terrorists look like any other, normal, they look like normal people. They don't carry, AK-47 rifles. They carry small pistols.
Small arms are available, yes.
Yeah, so it's a new challenge for the security agencies. So, Hindu community, whether they are Kashmiri Pandits, whether they are Dogra Hindus, they are feeling insecure in the Kashmir Valley, and the government needs to reach out to them, and immediately, for the time being, they should be moved to Jammu region till the time situation improves in the Kashmir Valley, or if not Jammu region, to some other place, whatever the government feels is right.
Before I wrap up, what is the
but Pooja, one important point. As I said, that speaking from the perspective of the government is caught in a catch-22 situation, because if they move all these employees to Jammu, it will be seen as a failure of the government, that they could not protect.
That is what radicalized Islamists want in Kashmir.
Yes, and that is what terrorists also want, that they want to cleanse Kashmir Valley of all the minorities, of all the Hindus. So it's a very difficult situation right now, but Pooja, the government needs to show some seriousness. I mean, the Union Home Minister must himself meet people. He must, in fact, visit Kashmir Valley also to infuse some confidence.
The camps. Why has the Home Minister not visited the Kashmiri
Absolutely.
employees in Srinagar, in Kashmir? Why not do that? That will be a good ego boost.
Criminal apathy.
Government has a control. Some just final last questions now. To the employee friend here, there was this threat that there will be now a mass exodus again. But I'm being told that there are some transit accommodations that have been sealed. You're not even allowed to even go out, leave Kashmir, go to Delhi. What is the current situation there?
See, Pooja, look at the criminal apathy of this government. They have sealed, they have locked many transit camps. The transit camp in Hall, Pulwama, Indiranagar area was sealed because most of the employees are putting up in rented accommodations in Indiranagar. And one more thing to add here is that these Kashmiri Pandit employees are not going to sacrifice their lives on the altar of everything is normal in Kashmir that government is purportedly projecting in India. We are not asking for much. We are asking for a right to life. If we live, we'll do our services. Until the security scenario, until the security scenario improves in the valley, shift us to Jammu or to some other place outside Kashmir division. We are not asking for much.
At least Jammu for some time, and the government says that will not happen. We can do it within Kashmir. Government needs to have empathy,
sensitivity.
I want to ask this question because this is, I know it's a very
needs to be more empathetic.
But it's so casually asked to the Kashmiri Pandits, and I want both you young men to answer that today, so people who can hear realize how offensive it is and why they need to understand the ground situation faced by Hindus in Kashmir. आप लड़ते क्यों नहीं हैं? Kashmiri Pandits fight back क्यों नहीं करते हैं? Why don't they react? Why are they so ready to flee? And
so sad and unfortunate.
I know that, of course, because we know how sad that question is, but it's important to put it in perspective of why that happens. I put that question to
Pooja,
the friend who's working in Kashmir.
Pooja, I was talking to one friend, he's also a journalist. I was saying कि भाई हम किन से लड़े? आप टेररिस्टों से लड़ोगे, आप गवर्नमेंट के ब्यूरोक्रेटिक apparatus से लड़ोगे, आप अपने ही हिंदूज से लड़ोगे, आप किस से लड़ोगे? दिस इज अ मल्टी फ्रंट वॉर एंड आई एम फटीग्ड. मैं एग्जॉस्ट हो चुका हूं. मैं ट्विटर पे भी लड़ाई कर रहा हूं. कोई हिंदू सम स्कॉलर जायदीपी सेइंग ही इज रिटन अ बुक दैट दे मस्ट बी गिवन आर्म्स. व्हाट सॉर्ट ऑफ डिस्कोर्स वी आर स्टार्टिंग? दिस इज वेरी शेमफुल.
Sunil, you want to answer that
very
question
shameful.
also? Final question.
Well, Pooja, I just wanted to highlight one important, aspect of this entire thing. This employment scheme, that was introduced by the then UPA government, and it was Dr. Manmohan Singh who had shown some seriousness as far as mitigating the sufferings of the Kashmiri Pandit community is concerned. But this employment package that was, devised, it was a flawed one. I mean, the government needs to admit to it. They need to accept it that it was a
Yes.
flawed employment package, and there were Kashmiri Pandit youngsters, who could not pursue higher education and who could not, get any technical skill so that they can get job in other parts of the country. So at that point of time, what Kashmiri Pandits are alleging that the government took advantage of the desperation of the unemployed Kashmiri Pandit youth, that they had to accept the draconian terms and conditions of this employment package. And now they are suffering because targeted killings have taken place. I mean, what they were fearing, their parents were fearing that they could be targeted. It is happening now. So government needs to have a relook at this employment package. Terms and conditions will have to be changed, and more so because these jobs are being sponsored by the union government. So these state
Yes.
government jobs should be converted into central government jobs, and they should have option of transfers to, say, other places like
Now
Punjab,
JNK is
say
a
Himachal,
union territory,
or even
so-
Jammu or some other places. They should have this option.
That's very important.
And
So what
those
we
who
can-
want to serve in the
yes,
valley,
yes.
and Pooja, those who want to serve in the valley can serve in the valley, and government should
these
provide them
highlights
security
are
as well as
very
secured
important. And I
accommodation.
hope the government, the bureaucracy across the country, and of course Kashmiri Pandits and everyone are listening to this. This is a multi-front war, as exactly my friend who is working in Kashmir has said. You have to work politically,
Yes.
you have to work socially, you have to work with regard to understanding what are the problems. And here I say that a minority community can only fight back when they have the support of the majority community in Kashmir, in rest of India. They have the support of the journalists
Yes.
and activists. They have the support of the politicians. And only then
One small
they
point.
will with confidence have to fight back. Sunil, that's all the time I have for, but I'll give you that final point. Go ahead.
One small point. I mean, having said, I mean, that the government should do this and that, there is some, responsibility on the Kashmiri Pandit community also. I mean, those Kashmiri Pandits who are living in the other parts of the country, they also need to, reach out
Yes.
to these government employees who are serving in the valley. And some of them who want to resign but are not able to resign because of their financial condition, they must, help them out so that they can get jobs maybe in private sector.
Very
This is what I have
very
been,
important. So many Kashmiri
this is
Pandits
what
are working so
this is
well.
what Kashmiri
Very
Pandit
good.
youth have been telling me in the last, say 1 month or 2 months, that they are saying that the well-off, section of the society in the Kashmiri Pandit community should come and reach out to these
Yes.
people,
I think
and they must,
that's a very fair
provide
point, that,
and help them,
perhaps that
in
could
getting
give them an
jobs in
option.
private sector.
That could have given, and whether it's in Kashmir or otherwise. Thank you so much to Sunil Ji Bhatt always for your expertise, and also to my friend who's working in Kashmir. His family is based
Always
in
welcome.
Jammu. You're very brave. Thank you for working there. Thank you for doing your duty. And importantly, we hope government finds a solution. And thank you for speaking to me on this Digital Live on India Today. Both of you take care. We'll connect soon again.